Tulsi Gabbard absolutely destroys Kamala Harris. Again. Yes, everybody, you heard that right. Once again, Kamala has been absolutely bodied by Tulsi, guys. It was a good time, and you're going to enjoy the video. I'm sure you will. So we're going to get right into it, guys. It's going to be fun. But first, everybody, yes, please make sure you like our video, share it around. If you're new, subscribe to the channel, all right? And for those of you who already have subscribed, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. As always, guys, this is Resist the Mainstream, and I'm your host, Darian. Let's get into the video.
What do you think of Kamala? You bodied her only a couple of years ago. What do you think of her?
The same thing that I thought of her back then is she and this was what I warned people against in 2019 is she is incapable and unfit to be president and commander in chief. She would be very dangerous in that position, not only because she will be easily manipulated and controlled by those unelected powers that be that we talked about, but also would immediately feel like she needs to exert and show strength, and that would come at an incredibly high cost to our men and women, my brothers and sisters in uniform, to our country, and quite frankly, to the world, especially given the situation that we're facing today, where, you know, we're on the brink of war with Russia and China, Iran, North Korea, just to name a few. Oh, and also, by the way, we are closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, certainly in our lifetimes. And so in any one of these examples, it takes one spark for any one of these situations to quite literally blow up. She has demonstrated through her time as vice president, through her time as U.S. Senator, through her time as the Attorney General of California, District Attorney of San Francisco, in every opportunity, every position that she held where she had the opportunity to put the interests of the people she was supposed to be serving first, she put her own political interests first. And clearly does not believe in the Constitution and fundamental freedoms. So she's not alone in this, obviously, but she is now, not officially, but will be very soon, the Democratic nominee for president. And we as voters should not allow the political, like, food fight that's going to go on to get in the way of actually knowing the facts of her record and her failed record, and how dangerous she would be in that position.
Her record really is terrible. In terms of that point Tulsi makes about the show of strength, I think it's totally true. Just look at Kamala Harris's rhetoric on the Ukraine war, for instance. She's constantly calling for escalation, 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 nonstop. These people in DC, guys, they're addicted to war. It's sick, honestly. There's an obsession they have with it. As far as the constitutional freedoms go, absolutely. Kamala Harris very openly calls for an assault weapons ban. Very stupid term, by the way, assault weapons ban. Every weapon is an assault weapon, okay? By definition, you take a weapon and use it to assault somebody, right? That's literally what it is. So this whole idea of an assault weapon doesn't even make sense. What, as opposed to a non-assault weapon? Anyways, I digress. She's terrible.
Is she smart?
I would not say so. I don't know if smart's the right word. Intelligent? No. She is a very calculating person. And so perhaps smart in her calculations that have gotten her to this point.
You ever seen that video of Kamala Harris talking about the moon and just how grandiose and amazing it is? Honestly, it sounds like she's high. You know, took a little puff, puff, puff of the J a little bit too much.
Space is exciting. It spurs our imaginations, and it forces us to ask big questions. Space, it affects us all, and it connects us all.
If there is a big problem with the potential of Kamala being the Democratic nominee, you can wave a wand, you could be God. Who would you want to see instead?
Well, I ran for president on the Democratic ticket.
And who would you put as a VP?
By the way, back when Tulsi ran for president, she absolutely smoked Kamala Harris in the presidential debate on this whole marijuana thing. Check this out.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Not only did Kamala lock up a bunch of people over weed and then laugh about smoking it herself, she also lied and said that she listened to Tupac while she was smoking weed in college. How do we know this is a lie? Well, it's real simple. Kamala Harris graduated college in 1986. Tupac released his first album in 1991. So a whole 4 years after Kamala Harris was done smoking weed and listening to him in college, apparently.
I don't, and I'm speaking in today's context. I don't know, and here's why. The Democratic Party is vastly different even today than it was 4 years ago. Vastly different 4 years from 8 years and so on. But the fact that not a single Democrat in the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate, not a single one has had the courage to stand up and call out the insanity of this whole, boys can be girls if they say they're girls. Not a single one. Not a single one stood up against Joe Biden's and his administration's complete destruction of Title IX, which is the law that says women and girls should have a level playing field in education and sports with boys and men, period. It's been in place over 50 years, something Democrats celebrated for decades. Completely obliterated now to the point where you have girls' sports teams, half of them are biological boys in high school and middle school. Not a single one Democrat leader in the House or Senate in Washington, D.C. has had the courage to stand up and say, this is wrong. And you're hurting women and girls by doing this. So it's hard for me to pick someone up out of those who exist in the country. I can't think of a Democrat governor of a state that's had the courage to stand up and say this. So I don't have an answer for you because we are at a time where I personally don't think that every one of them really believes that this is the right thing to do.
They're sufficiently cowardly.
What's perhaps even more interesting than that is that a lot of Republicans actually refuse to stand up against this. We all know that Democrats are cowards who hate women and don't care about protecting them. That much is apparent. But you could probably say the same for about maybe half of the Republican Party, perhaps more. Take Kristi Noem, for instance. She's the governor of South Dakota. People are always talking about how great she is, rising star in the Republican Party. You have some boomers hyping her up and saying that she should be the first woman president. Okay. She literally caved on one of these bills, refused to sign a bill that would ban men playing from women's sports. You'd think that'd be a no-brainer. And then she justified it by saying, well, the NCAA was going to go after me. Really? Okay, so now we're caving to large American bullies of corporations instead of doing what's right? Just pathetic, honestly. And that was a Republican.
To go along with it.
Exactly. And so what kind of leadership is that? It's not. It's the opposite. They're followers. And worse yet, care more about their political positioning, that they're willing to remain silent in something that is like just the most fundamentally, objectively true thing that exists.
Yeah, that is not exactly a glowing comment on the squad that you've got to pick from.
No. The literal squad and the broader squad.
Correct. That is both.
Well, guys, we're going to cut it off right there. We really hope you enjoyed the video. As always, guys, please be sure to comment below. Let us know what you liked, what you want to see next, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks so much, and God bless.